In today's video, I'm going to show y'all 5 ways of how we can transform some wood items that I have on hand. I'm going to show y'all how we can take this vintage table and we can turn it into some beautiful decor. And I also picked this table up at a yard sale for $2. I also am going to upcycle this wooden plate that I got at Goodwill. So we're going to start off with it. The first thing I want to do is I want to give it a couple of layers of fusion paint, and the color I'm using is parchment. Now I'm going to give it a couple of layers and I'm going to let this dry. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show y'all some beautiful paint inlays. And if you've never used paint inlays, this right here is a very fun way to get some graphics on your project piece. And don't be intimidated by the process because it's actually just a few steps and it's really easy. You always want to lay your paint inlay down face down because they actually have paint on them. So you want to go over with a fresh coat of paint that is not dry. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going over my piece now and I'm giving it some wet paint. While your paint is still wet, you want to go in with your paint inlay, and like I say, you want to put it down where the paint is to your project piece. You want to lay it down into that paint, and I'm just kind of lining mine up before I smooth it down. Once you get it in place, just go across with your fingers very gently. You don't want to rough up because this is paper and it can tear, but you do want to just kind of smooth out any wrinkles that you have in the paper, and also you can roll over it with a brayer. But like I say, just go very gently and work slowly. Once I get it smoothed down really good, then you want to take a misting bottle. Now I've just got some water in this bottle, and you just want to spray over your paint inlay and then just set it up and let it dry. Now it will only take a few minutes for this to dry. You do want to go over it with a paper towel or some kind of dry cloth and just kind of soak up some of that water. Once it is dry, you want to go back over it with your misting bottle, and you just want to pull off your paint inlay and look at this beautiful graphic. Y'all, I love using this process, and like I say, if you've never used paint inlays, I highly recommend them because they're so much fun, and there is a huge selection out there right now to choose from. My wreath, when I did the paint inlay, it had a couple of wrinkles in it, so the graphic did not transfer onto my surface piece in those areas. So it was a quick fix. You can always cover up some blemishes or flaws that you may have and just put a transfer over them. So I'm just going through my books and I'm just going through and adding little bits of transfers that I feel like will add some color to my piece and just kind of fill in and give it, a little bit more detail. And that is all I'm going to do to this. Now you could go a little bit further and you could add some wording to it. You can also go over this piece and seal it with a top coat to give it some added protection if you want to set some things on it and use it as a tray. I'm going to style everything for you at the end of the video. So for our next project, do y'all have one of these tables, or did y'all have one of these back in the day? Back in the day, these things were just a few dollars, and I think we had these in every room. Well, y'all, my mom still had one, and she asked me if I wanted it before she threw it away, so I brought it home. This one right here is vintage. So y'all, this right here is so easy to take apart. Y'all know it has this big round top, and so I just tried to get creative and thought, this round top right here would make a great canvas for something. This is a blank project piece, and it'll be so much fun to get creative with it. I went over it and gave it a couple of layers of paint with my paintbrush, and then the thing about round surfaces, a lot of times using a paintbrush, you will see your brush strokes. So to prevent that, I usually go over it with the last layer with my little mini roller, and that'll just smooth out your paint. Now I'm going to take these beautiful gilded gold IOD transfers, and these are some large sheets, but they are great for large projects like this tabletop. Now this is just more of a creative DIY project piece that I'm showing you right here, and then I'm going to show you another way we can upcycle this tabletop that'll be more of a home decor piece. But I'm just getting creative. I'm using some things that I have on hand and I've been wanting to use, so I'm using different colors of paint that I want to try, and I'm also loving these gold transfers, and these right here are so beautiful and they show up so good on this Wellington Fusion paint. So just giving you ideas of some beautiful paint colors and those new IOD transfers. This right here is just a beautiful piece that you can, hang up or just set around in your home. Now I'm going to mix up some casting resin, and it's just one part of one bottle and another part of, and equal parts of another bottle. You mix them together really good until it goes clear. Once it does, you pour it into your mold. And I will link these bottles that I have down below. They are a budget-friendly way to get casting resin because they come in really large bottles. So I've really been happy with this product. But I'm just using some all kinds of molds. I pulled them out because I always mix up extra resin, and make sure you have your molds on hand and just keep pouring. And then that way you've got some extra embellishments for future projects because you never want to waste your casting resin. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just pouring, until I run out, and then I'll have some extra details and embellishments for some other projects that come up. So once I got everything poured and everything dried, and when your casting resin gets dry, it just turns solid white, and it just pops right out of the molds. Once I got them out of the molds, I just go over and I painted each one with the Wellington, and I gave them a couple of layers. Now I'm going over each one with some clear wax, and I'm just buffing that on with a soft cloth. Once I get my clear wax on, now I'm going to show y'all this beautiful gold gilding wax. I got this at Ruth and Ruby when I went for the meet and greet, and y'all, I absolutely love this, and I'll make sure to link it down below. But I'm just working it in with this little cloth down into the grooves, and this right here just really adds that gold detail to this embellishment, and it'll really go well with our project piece. And like I say, I'm just getting creative with this piece, and I'm just trying different products and different techniques, and I'm just taking things that I have, already in my supplies. Now I'm going to take this little embellishment that I poured, and I did the same thing to it. I just clear waxed it, I painted it, clear waxed it, and then I added some gold gilding wax. Now I'm going to apply these just to different areas of the project piece, and I'm just using some Elmer's wood glue, but you can use some other kind of glue to attach yours if you want to. These two pieces right here, they formed a heart. I didn't mean for that to happen, but when I was putting them together, I thought that is a heart. So that is how I'm going to glue them down on this piece. So I want to highly encourage you to take things that you have around your home, and just get creative with them. And like I say, just use things that you have on hand and just have fun with it. And that's what I'm doing with this piece. But I am trying to give you some ideas and inspiration of, like I say, different textures, different colors, and different products that you can use to really create some beautiful pieces. Now look how beautiful she turned out. And this was just a tabletop that my mom wanted me to take to the donation center, but I decided to bring it home, and we just found something that we could create with it and have fun. So now I want to show you another idea. Since I only have one of these tables, I'm going to reuse it, but I'm going to give you another idea. I very carefully removed those embellishments that I glued down, and then I'm going to sand over those areas to where they're smooth. Now I'm just going to use some white chalk paint, and I'm going to roll over this and cover up this transfer. This transfer will not show through with a couple of layers. Now I'm going to go on the bottom. Now I'm going to take these little prongs that were on here holding the legs on, and these were just, each had 4 screws. I'm going to remove all those, and this come off really easy. Once I removed those, then I went over with some sandpaper and just lightly sanded over those holes just to get any of that excess wood to lay down. You're really not going to see this part of the project piece because this is going to be the bottom, but we are going to add some little legs to it, so from a distance you may could see up under it. So I'm just going to roll over it very quickly, use my little mini roller, and I'm going to give it a couple layers of paint. Once it was dry, now I'm going to add these little feet that I always have on hand. These are painted white also, and I'm just going to apply these using some hot glue. I'm going to style the piece just like this, plain white. But now I'm going to show you a third option for this table. I told you at the first video I think I had 5 projects. Well, we actually have 6. I just got creative this day, so I just really had fun with this little tabletop. But I want to show you another idea. If you want to add some graphics to it and just really Christmas it up, we can do that too. I just added a wet layer of paint, and again, using some more IOD new release inlays, I just applied those. I cut them down to size so they would fit the area of my table the best. And then, like I say, you just flip them over and you lay them face down into the wet paint. Then you want to spritz them with some water, dab that off, and then just let it set up and let it dry. Once it is dry, and you'll see it'll be really opaque looking. It won't be dark looking anymore. Then just go back over, mist it with some water, dab off any excess, and then pull back your paint inlay. And y'all, just wait to be amazed. The results of these inlays are absolutely amazing because those paint inlays actually just go in and embed down into the wet paint that you put on your project surface. So this process right here is absolutely so fun, so creative, and so unique. Now, if you want to add a little bit of color to it, since this is all black and white now, you could have just left it alone just like it was. You could have added some clear wax to it and just called it a day. But I'm going to give you a little bit more ideas of how you can Christmas this up a little bit more and add a little color to it. Now, I had this wreath form. This come out of an IOD transfer book, I think from last year, and I had it left over. And like I'm telling y'all, just go through the things that you already have on hand and you just get creative with what you already have, because you'll be surprised at the things that you have in your supplies that'll make great embellishments for your project pieces. And that's what I'm doing here. I just had this from last year and I'd really love to use it, and it'll add some beautiful color to this piece. Now I'm just going to add the wreath form on each side, and I did cut it down to size. And the pieces that I hadn't used, I'm just going to fill those in and connect them to the pieces that I've already put down. And transfers, and a lot of times on IOD transfers, they have grid lines, and they make the designs to where they will connect together really well so they, look like they match up. Now, the pieces that went off the sides, I'm not even going to waste those. Just lay your sheet down and keep applying and layering your transfers. Just adding, some more detail wherever you need it. Down at the bottom, I felt like it needed a little detail down there and a little bit of color. So in between the little cherubs, I found this poinsettia. And again, this was just some scraps that I had. I think this was left over from last year. So I just cut it down to size. I cut a lot of the excess off around it and got the part that I really wanted and applied it. Now I'm going to go over with a sanding block and I'm going to distress this piece now. This is optional, but I want to give you another idea of how you can distress back. And since it had that Wellington gray paint up underneath it, I'm going to pull some of that back out. I'm just going to go over it with a dry cloth, wipe it down really good, and now we got another beautiful piece that I'll style for you in just a minute. So now let's transform this little $2 table. It's got a little felt top on it. So we're just going to kind of sand that down. You can see it's got a lot of dirt on it. It's been faded through the years. So I just took my electric sander and I kind of sanded away as much of that as I could and smoothed it down. Because what we're going to do is we're going to go over and paint it, and you're never going to know that felt was on there. Now look at the beautiful legs on this table. Now I'm just going to unscrew this, take this off, and y'all will be seeing this in an upcoming project, because I think this would make a beautiful stand for a Christmas tree. So y'all stay tuned for that DIY project. But you can see how easily that was just to unscrew. And like I say, we're going to hang on to this, and here's us another project piece. I'm going to leave that piece on the bottom of it because it's really not going to affect the way the tray sits. But I am going to wipe it down really well and wipe away all that dust and all that excess of felt that I sanded off the top. Now again, using my Fusion Wellington paint, and I absolutely love this really elegant looking dark gray. It's a beautiful color, it's very rich, and it just really has an elegant color to it. But I gave it a couple layers till I got the tabletop fully covered. And again, I'm going to go through this beautiful gilded gold transfer book, and you can see some of the beautiful sheets and graphics that this transfer book has to offer. Now, I just went through and tried to pick out one that would fit in my tray the best. Some of them were a little bit too big. This one is going to be too big, but I am just going to cut around and cut off the part that I needed. I did like that top that was up there that was rounded, and it was the good shape for my tray. I'm going to cut off the parts of the transfer that I'm not going to need, and I'm also going to go around and I'm going to cut off that excess paper. That will just make the transfer fit down into the tray better. Now, once I get it positioned in the center the way I wanted it, I just held it down with a little piece of clear tape. But most of the time I use painter's tape, but I was out this day. Just be careful what tape you do use, because some tape will remove your paint. So once you get your transfer, these gold transfers are a lot like regular transfers. You just use your transfer stick and you just gently go over them until you get them adhered off that paper onto your surface. Now look how beautiful this is. Now y'all, I should have stopped right here, but I wanted to put a clear wax over it, and everything was going fine until I feel like my wax brush that I was using, I think the bristles were a little too hard and a little too rough, because once I went over it with this wax brush, my gold transfer started to flake. And as you can see, the more I rubbed it trying to get some of those little gold flakes off, the worse it got and the more came off. So now we got more of a distressed look, but I will show y'all how I stage it with it looking like that. It was still beautiful, but I'm going to show you another option. I'm going to take my little mini roller and we're going to give it a couple of layers of fusion paint, and this color is parchment. This is a really beautiful color, but it didn't take but like a couple of coats to go and, cover that Wellington up and that transfer. Now, once I got it painted and the paint was getting dry, I went out and I did seal it with Rust-Oleum. I used a matte clear sealer just to make sure my paint was sealed in before I add my transfer, because at this point I really don't want to make any more mistakes and waste these transfers. So I'm going to take this one now and I'm going to put this one in the tray. So now I'm going to show you a white tray with a gold transfer in the white and gold. It's absolutely beautiful, and this would make a beautiful piece to set out through the holiday season. I love white and gold, and that is the colors that I'm going with for my Christmas theme this year. So I'm excited about that. So let me know in the comments below what you are thinking about, for your colors for this Christmas and the holiday season. So I'm going to, like I did the other one, I just went around, I cut around a lot of the excess paper, and I got it to fit down in my tray, got it in the center, and now I'm just going to rub over it with my transfer tool and get this one applied. Now I'm not going to do anything to this one. I learned my lesson. But if you do seal it, you probably do want to use some kind of a spray sealer, or maybe use like DIY liquid patina or something. But just be really careful so you don't flake off the gold transfers, because these transfers are absolutely beautiful. I had a little bit of the paint that got pulled off at the top because I was using clear tape. And like I say, I usually use painter's tape, and you will avoid that, but I was out at the time. So that clear tape, when I took it off, it took a little piece of my paint off. So again, just to cover up that little blemish and that little flaw, I just took another piece of that transfer and I applied it to the top, and you will never know it. So that's the fun about transfers. You can layer them and you can just, have fun with them and just create and, use them as you go. Now look at the beautiful detail on this. And like I say, you can set this out and use this as a beautiful tray. You could add some handles to it. You can just set this up in some beautiful greenery and just really display it in a beautiful Christmas vignette. Now I'm going to sit back and just let y'all see all the ways that you can style and stage these beautiful DIY projects that we worked on in today's video.
Keeping people pleased, but this is my favorite holiday. It's a chance to start over new, 'cause I missed you, so I'm letting go of everything but you. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been tree. And I've lit my house with Christmas lights, so you should come back home to me. And when we wake up in the morning, I'm gonna play those carols that you love. We'll be singing all the melodies until the sun comes up. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, oh, la da da da, oh, 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 la da da da, making our Christmas memories. Yes, these are the good times with you. Don't even care what we do if I spend it with you. Just you and nobody else. It's so good to see you again, to see you again. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire, chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories.
Okay, that's going to about wrap up today's video, but I hope I gave y'all some ideas of some things that you can make very budget friendly out of some items that you may already have at home. So, I love working on those little tables and getting creative and just turning tables into some other things that we can use as home decor and not necessarily tables. But let me know what your favorite project was, and let me know if you've ever made any of these mistakes that I made today, because as crafters, we're always learning as we go. We never have it figured out. So as always, I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all come back next week for my new video, because we are in the Christmas season now, y'all. So I've got a lot of Christmas content coming your way. I hope all of y'all have a great week. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all again soon. Bye, y'all.